The sound of a glass shattering on the marble floor paralyzed the ballroom. In the center of it all, on his knees, was Lucas, his janitor uniform soaked in champagne. Above him, the regional manager laughed, wiping his hand on his expensive suit as if he had touched trash. Everyone expected Lucas to cry or to beg for forgiveness, but for the first time in 3 months, he raised his head. There was no fear in his eyes. There was a countdown. Enjoy the laughter, Roberto, because it will be your last. The manager didn't hear him. The roar of the guests' laughter drowned out Lucas's voice. But what no one there knew, what even the woman crying in the corner of the room couldn't imagine, is that this janitor could buy all of their lives with a single signature, and he was about to teach a lesson that money can't buy, but arrogance pays dearly for. The mask is about to fall, and the crash will be deafening. If you want to see justice served right now, subscribe to the channel. Lucas's revenge begins in 3, 2, 1. 3 months earlier, the Imperial Logistics warehouse was a hell of noise and dust. Lucas, the billionaire heir to the group, was undercover as Leo. He swept the floor between forklifts, invisible. No one looked at his face. To the company's elite, the gray uniform was an invisibility cloak. It's incredible. I could be wearing a $100,000 watch right now, and they would only see the broom. Wealth makes people blind. Lucas's father had left the company to him with one condition: know who carries the load before you sit on the throne. And Lucas was obeying. He saw the exhaustion in the workers' eyes. He smelled the sweat and hopelessness. But in the middle of that grayness, he found a color. Clara, the supervisor who shared the little she had with those who had even less. She smiles even when she's exhausted. How does she do it? Everyone here wants to run away, but she tries to make this place work. Lucas watched her from afar. He saw her integrity, but he also saw the target on her back. Because where there is a bright light like Clara, there is always a shadow trying to put it out. And the shadow had a name: Roberto. Roberto, the general manager, was a tyrant. He didn't ask, he barked orders. On that Tuesday, the system failed. It was due to lack of maintenance, funds that Roberto had embezzled, but he needed a scapegoat. He cornered Clara in the middle of the aisle. He screamed so loud that the veins in his neck bulged. "Don't lower your head, Clara. Don't let him see that you're afraid." But Clara was terrified. She needed that job to pay for her mother's medication. Roberto knew that. He used her fear as fuel. Lucas, cleaning a nearby window, squeezed the rag so hard that dirty water ran down his fingers. His instinct screamed at him to intervene, to end it right there. Just a little longer. If I act now, he runs away. I need to catch him in the act. It was the hardest moment of Lucas's life, having the power of a god, but having to act like a servant. He saw Clara run to the bathroom to cry, and in that moment, the plan changed. It was no longer about understanding the company. It was about protecting her. In the following days, Lucas forced a connection. He forgot his wallet. He went without lunch. Clara, as he predicted, didn't let him go hungry. She shared her simple lunchbox with him at the back of the warehouse. "You don't have to do this. I'm just the new janitor." Clara smiled, pushing half of the sandwich toward him. She said that no one grows alone. Lucas looked at that simple food. He had dined with presidents and kings, but that meal had a value he didn't know. It was genuine. "Thank you, Clara. One day I'm going to pay you back for this sandwich, with interest." She laughed, thinking it was a joke. Little did she know that was the most valuable contract she had ever signed. Lucas's loyalty was sealed, but Roberto was watching. He saw the two of them talking, and in his twisted mind, two weaklings uniting was a threat or an opportunity for cruel amusement. A rainy night, Roberto forced Clara to work unpaid overtime. Lucas stayed behind, pretending to organize the storage room. He found Clara sitting on a pallet, her hands shaking with exhaustion and contained rage. "He likes this, to see you broken. Why don't you report him?" Clara looked at Lucas with teary eyes. She explained that no one would believe her, that Roberto was friends with the directors, that the word of a poor supervisor meant nothing against that of a manager. "Words change, Clara. Things change. Do you trust me?" The question took Clara by surprise. Trust a janitor she barely knew? But there was something in Lucas's voice, a security that didn't match the dirty uniform. "I promise you, no one will ever humiliate you in here again, but I need you to hold on for just 2 more days. Can you do that?" Clara nodded, not understanding why, but feeling that she was no longer alone. Lucas left the warehouse that night and got into his armored car, parked 3 blocks away. He picked up his encrypted phone. "Prepare the audit and bring the lawyers. I'm going to bring down the king of this house of cards." The day of the trap arrived. Roberto had created a financial hole and needed to blame someone before the annual party. He called Clara. The door was open. He threw fake spreadsheets on the table, accusing her of embezzlement. It was a lie, but it was his word against hers. Clara was crying, desperate. Lucas walked in. He didn't ask for permission. He walked to the center of the room, broom in hand, and stood between the predator and the prey. "Leave her alone, Roberto. It was me." The silence was absolute. Roberto blinked, confused, and then a malicious smile appeared on his face. An ignorant janitor taking the blame? It was perfect. "I took the money. I altered the notes. Clara knows nothing. She is innocent." Lucas was lying, of course, but he needed Roberto to believe he had won. Roberto laughed, clapped ironically, and began to humiliate Lucas. He called him trash, a cheap thief. Roberto fired Lucas right there, with refined cruelty. He called security to drag him out. As he was being taken away, Lucas looked at Clara. She was in a panic, trying to defend him. "Be quiet, Clara. Listen to me. Don't do anything. Trust me." He was thrown onto the sidewalk in the rain. Roberto appeared at the glass door, laughing and waving goodbye. Lucas stood up, wiped the mud off his uniform, and walked to the corner. As soon as he turned the street, the look of victim disappeared. He pulled a high-fidelity micro-recorder from the inside pocket of his overalls. The red light was blinking, recording. "Did you guys hear everything? Great. He confessed to fraud and coercion. I want the arrest warrant ready for the night of the party, and send my suit. Leo just died. Lucas is back." The annual gala, crystal chandeliers, caviar, classical music. Roberto was the star of the night, bragging about how he cleaned the company of bad elements. Clara was there, demoted to a waitress, serving tables with her head down, humiliated. Roberto went up to the stage to receive his Manager of the Year award. He took the microphone, smiling at the shareholders. Manager of the Year, or the biggest fraud in the history of this company? The voice echoed through the hall. Everyone looked around. Roberto froze. The back doors opened with a bang. Lucas entered, flawless, Italian suit, the posture of an emperor. He walked down the center aisle while silence dominated the room. Roberto squinted, trying to recognize that man. Don't you recognize the voice? Maybe if I put on a dirty pair of overalls and lower my head, you'll remember. A murmur of shock ran through the crowd. Is that the janitor? Someone whispered. Lucas walked up the stairs to the stage. He didn't take his eyes off Roberto for a second. He snatched the microphone from the manager's trembling hand. You know this man as a leader. I know him as a coward who needs to humiliate women and simple employees to feel big. Roberto tried to react, tried to call security. Get this lunatic out here, he screamed. No one is taking me out of here because I own all of this. I am Lucas Almeida, and this is my company. The color drained from Roberto's face. He stepped back, tripping on his own feet. The big screen behind him lit up, playing the recording from the office, Roberto's voice confessing to the fraud and laughing about framing the janitor. The hall exploded in murmurs of outrage. Lucas turned to the side of the stage where the police were waiting. Take him. He has a lot to explain about embezzlement and harassment, and don't let him dirty my floor on the way out. As Roberto was handcuffed, crying and begging for mercy he didn't deserve, Lucas stepped down from the stage. He went straight to Clara, who was still holding the tray, paralyzed with shock. People cleared the way. Lucas stopped in front of her and smiled, the same gentle smile from when they shared the sandwich. I told you I would pay back that sandwich with interest. He took off his suit jacket and placed it over her shoulders. It's over, Clara. The nightmare is over. You will never serve anyone again. From today, you're going to help us lead. 6 months later, the company was transformed. Clara had been promoted to Director of Operations, not as a favor, but because of her competence. She implemented employee support programs that changed the lives of hundreds of families. Lucas, he remained the president, but he never forgot what he lived as Leo. You only know a person's character when they think no one is looking, or when they have power over those who have nothing. Roberto was sentenced to 5 years. In prison, he works in the laundry. Irony of fate or poetic justice? Maybe both. Lucas and Clara continued to have lunch together every Friday, not in the executive restaurant, but in the cafeteria, always remembering where true loyalty was born. The truth always finds a way, even if it has to dress up as a janitor to walk through the front door.